Dancing with me now, and I'm taking pictures of you with flowers on the wall. Think I like you, passing dressed in black from head to toe. Think I like you best when you're just with me. I know now. Lying in my room, holding you until you fall asleep, and it's just as good as I knew it would be. Stay with me, I don't want you to leave.
Hi everyone. Hola a todos.
Buenos días.
Holding you until you fall asleep. doesn't even matter. I had to fall to lose it all. In the end, it doesn't even matter.
nombre es Carola
Hello
Rubia.
everyone,
Soy directora ejecutiva
my
de
name is
Fundación
Carolina
Descúbreme
Rubia,
y les quiero
Executive
dar la cordial
Director of
bienvenida a la
Fundación
conferencia
Descúbreme,
de Zero
and I would
Project
like
para
to
América
welcome
Latina
you to
y el
all the
mundo
Zero Project
hispanoparlante.
Conference for Latin
Soy una
America
mujer de
and the
tez clara y hoy
Spanish-speaking
día ando con un traje
world.
de café, una blusa blanca y
I'm
un
a woman
pañuelo
with
en
fair
el cuello.
complex. I'm wearing
Zero
a
Project es un
brown
programa a
jacket and
nivel
I have a
mundial
scarf on my
que se
neck.
enfoca en promover la
Zero
plena
Project is a
inclusión de las
worldwide
personas con
program that focuses
discapacidad
on promoting the
a
full
través de la
inclusion of people with
identificación de buenas
disabilities by
prácticas y
identifying
soluciones
best practices and
innovadoras que
innovative
hacen
solutions
romper barreras
that
y
break
hacen
down
la vida más
barriers
fácil a las
and make
personas con
life easier for
discapacidad.
people with
Cada
disabilities.
año se
Each
centra en un
year,
tema
it
distinto.
focuses
Es
on
por
a
eso que en esta
different topic.
oportunidad
That
hablaremos
is
sobre un
why
tema
this time
muy
we will talk
importante
about
para
a very
todos,
important
como
topic for
es el
everyone,
empleo
which is
inclusivo y
inclusive
las tecnologías
employment
de
and
información
information
y
and communication
comunicaciones.
technologies.
Hoy y mañana
Today and
tendremos la
tomorrow,
oportunidad de
we will
conversar,
have the opportunity to
conocer y
talk,
discutir
learn, and
sobre buenas
discuss
prácticas y
best
modelos
practices and
exitosos que
successful
apoyan la inclusión
models that
laboral
support
de
the
las personas con discapacidad
inclusion of
y
people
el
with
desarrollo de
disabilities
tecnologías que
in the
apoyan
labor
la
market
inclusión
and the
que son
development of
relevantes para los
technologies
países
that
de América
support
Latina
inclusion
e
that are relevant to
hispanoparlantes.
Latin American and Spanish-speaking
Estoy
countries.
muy contenta de que estemos
I am very
conectados
happy that we are
nuevamente
connected
debido a la
again
pandemia.
due
En
to
esta
the pandemic.
oportunidad, por
This time,
segunda
for the
vez,
second time, we
realizaremos
will hold the conference online, where we will have live and recorded moments in a virtual environment. It has been a tremendous challenge, which has motivated and energized us to continue expanding Zero Project's mission of a world without barriers for Latin America and the Spanish-speaking world. Zero Project emerged in 2008 as an initiative of the ESSL Foundation to support and accelerate the implementation of the United Nations Conventions on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities. In this way, each year, it identifies and highlights the main innovative practices and policies that promote the rights of persons with disabilities in the world, in key topics such as education, accessibility, independent living, and political participation, employment, and ICTs. Before I continue, I would like to introduce a great friend, Carolina García Vergesio, since we will together accompany you in these 2 days of conferences. Carolina is an engineer expert in change management, an activist for the rights of people with disabilities, and founder of the Comunidad Inclusiva. Carolina, welcome and thank you very much for joining us for the second time at this Zero Project Conference for Latin America and the Spanish-speaking world on employment and ICTs. Thank you very much, Carola, and thank you very much to the Zero Project team for allowing me to be a part of this initiative once again. For those who cannot see me, I'm a woman with fair complexion, and I'm wearing a black trousers, a red T-shirt, and I'm a person in a situation of disability, and I'm on a wheelchair. To tell you a little bit of history, in 2018, Zero Project forms a strategic alliance with Fundación Descúbreme to expand the mission of a world without barriers for Latin America, the Caribbean, and the Spanish-speaking world. This is mainly due to the low English proficiency in our region, which has generated gaps and inequality in access to information. Along with this, the distances between our countries and continents have also become barriers to access, learn, and share different realities, best practices, in organizations. This alliance seeks to facilitate access to content and best practices, which have emerged from Zero Project to the more of 450 million people who speak Spanish and represent 7.5% of the world's population. In 2020, one of the first actions of this alliance was to translate into Spanish all the information related to the 86 innovative practices and policies awarded at the Zero Project Conference on Education in Vienna. To translate the 2020 Inclusive Education Report, to hold the first 2020 Zero Project Conference for Latin America and the Spanish speakers on education, and to have communication channels available in Spanish with all social networks at zeroprojectlatam.org on Facebook and Twitter. In order to continue with its mission in this Spanish branch, is that this year, in addition to the translation of the Employment and ICT report, the translation of the Zero Project Almanac, which is a compilation of all the work that Zero Project has done since 2013 today, is that today we start our 2021 conference focused on employment and ICTs. During the conference, which will be held in a completely virtual format, participants will be able to meet and interact with more than 100 experts and decision makers from around the world to discuss innovative practices and policies that promote employment and labor inclusion, and that develop innovative technologies that support the inclusion of people with disabilities. The objective of this work is to generate and promote networks that strengthen social innovation in Latin America, the Caribbean, and the Spanish-speaking community. We know that in our region, there are many efforts being made to promote the labor inclusion of people with disabilities, but many times these initiatives are not connected, do not communicate, and fail to generate synergy due to the lack of knowledge among them. We need to strengthen these ties and generate a sense of community. We firmly believe that collaborative work will help us create a world without barriers. Well, we are very proud that in this second Zero Projects Conference in Spanish, we have representatives from 33 countries around the world. We would also like to thank our sponsors whose contributions have made it possible to finance part of the production of this conference. With thanks to Scotiabank, our main sponsor, and also the contribution of Nestlé, SMU, and the Colombian company Ate Medios, which today provides us with its real-time closed captioning service. We're also grateful for the support of our patrons who permanently accompany us in our different initiatives. The National Disability Service of the Chilean government, the International Labor Organization, the Ministry of Labor of the Chilean government, the Ministry of Social Development of the Chilean government, and the Austrian Embassy and Microsoft for the Americas. Before starting the conference, I would like to tell you that the platform that we designed I would like to tell you about this platform that we designed especially for this purpose work. The essential thing is that we have 2 transmissions channels that work simultaneously, and each one of them has a channel in English and another in Spanish in order to overcome language barriers. We also have international sign language for all sessions and Spanish closed captioning and subtitles. Keynote speeches on both days will be simultaneous on both channels, and subsequent sessions will be on each channel. You can check the agenda on the main page of the platform, latinaamericazeroproject.org, where you can find a schedule for both days and both channels, and add to your calendar the sessions you are interested in. If you have 2 sessions that interest you at the same time, don't worry, since you will be able to rewatch the sessions later, as they will be available on the platform after the transmissions for your review. You will also have the possibility of contacting people who are registered and connected on the platform to the networking button, through which you can generate meetings between participants. That's right, Carolina. We already have a day full of outstanding presentations from our panelists or lecturers. To begin our opening ceremony, I leave you with the person who has created and led this incredible initiative. I'm referring to Martin Essl, founder of Essl Foundation, the organization that created and leads Zero Project worldwide, who joined us today from Vienna, Austria. Welcome, Marty.
Hello. Buenos dias a todos. And thank you, Carola and Caroline, for your inspiring opening words. First of all, I would warmly thank you and thank the amazing team of Fundación Descúbreme for organizing such a stellar conference over the next 2 days. This is the second year of our great partnership, and the Essl Foundation couldn't have hoped for a better ally to move from strength to strength, despite the global situation that we all are experiencing at the moment. We are working together closely on some important issues for a world with zero barriers. It is a fantastic journey that we have embarked on together, and I'm looking forward to our partnership that I'm convinced will last many years to come. And now I'm absolutely excited to stay tuned to the various sessions that we have in store today and to see incredible partnerships and networks that will be born out of this event right now. The impact transfer session is one that I'm particularly excited about. This initiative that we have launched together with Ashoka has established rather exciting international projects that have impacted people with disabilities all around the world. I would also like to thank you for bringing us together these 2 days, despite the challenging circumstances, to discuss the relevance of accessibility, innovation, and breaking barriers in today's world. The corona pandemic shows that we can only meet these challenges together. Overcoming them is the chance of a new renaissance, a rebirth with great prospects. If we keep preserving, the world will open up completely new opportunities for us and for the coming generation. To do this, we must take into account all the fundamental conditions when it comes to rebuilding, such as interconnectivity, careful use of resources, societal solidarity, and of course, use of innovative practices and policies hand in hand with accessibility. In this day and age, removing barriers to accessing diverse opportunities is of great importance. Innovations exist across all sectors of activities in all countries, and I think we can agree that everyone should have equal opportunities to access fundamental needs, such as the internet and all the assistive technologies and services in education, political life, or cultural activities. As part of our research, we have carried out 662 of these innovations we have compiled in a free available Zero Project Almanac 2021, which has been produced in accessible English, in Spanish, and German formats. Being excluded from these innovative technologies means being shut down, not only from the information society, but also from accessing essential public services and information, and ultimately the opportunity of living an independent life. We at the Zero Project are dedicated to support this vision of self-advocacy through innovation by identifying the most innovative and effective policies and practices that improve the lives of persons with disabilities. Over the past years, the Zero Project has become a unique network of some 6,000 experts from 180 countries globally. Together, we have developed a unique methodology of finding, researching, exploring, and communicating innovative solutions. And in recent years, we recognize that technology has tremendous potential for removing barriers. And this technology and digitalization plays an important role for us in more ways than one. Especially so after we both shifted the Zero Project conference entirely online last year, respectively early this year. While it was a huge undertaking for all of us, it ultimately paid off as we were more accessible to people all around the world. And this opened up more opportunities for diverse conversations and topics. Through the world and the work of Zero Project, we have created a unique treasure trove of working solutions, projects, and expert feedback over the past years. By connecting it all and opening it up, we even further value to this treasure over the next few years and beyond. And therefore, we have started to build a Zero Project platform that connects all the expertise, experts, nominations, and conferences from the very beginning, taking into account all accessibility measures. However, over the next 2 days, we will have the opportunity to hear of more innovations and innovators from this region that is up and coming and has exciting developments for all of us. But I will not hold you up any longer, and I will now hand over to the host of the Zero Project Latin America Conference to kick off the session. Les deseo una excelente conferencia. Gracias.
Thank you very much, Martin, for your kind words. Muchas gracias, Martín, por acompañarnos.
Thank you very much, Martin, for joining us today and trusting us to organize this second Zero Project Conference for Latin America and the Spanish-speaking world, and to continue building a world without barriers for people with disabilities. Now we would like to invite Catalina Saieh, President of Fundación Descúbreme. Catalina has inspired us with her vision regarding the inclusion of people with disabilities and has encouraged us to explore new directions in order to bring good practices and knowledge to support the steps taken by our country, as well as the countries convened at this conference. Welcome, Catalina. Good morning, everyone. I am Catalina Saieh. I have a short hair, green eyes, fair complexion, and I would like to thank all the collaborators helping us, Essl Foundation, that has helped us to organize this Zero Project Conference for Latin America and the Spanish-speaking world. It's important to have this for the people with disabilities. For those who don't know us, Fundación Descúbreme has been around for over 10 years. and its main goal is to aid people with cognitive disabilities. All over these years, we've promoted the participation of people with disabilities in the open labor work with the aim to contribute for their quality of life and to have independence and to create inclusive work environments. Aiming for the people with disability, we've collaborated for good practices and we've checked other policies and practices all over the world to have them in our institutions. And the best example is the collaboration that we have with Zero Project. The idea is to have solutions and to have a world without barriers for people with disabilities. Since 2017, the year that we were awarded with Zero Project, we've been actively participating in these conferences, annual conferences. These instances are fundamental for all these people and organizations around the world that have developed great solutions to face the difficulties that people with disability face in diverse contexts. Each year, Zero Project gathers the best initiatives from the rights of the UN policies for the people with disabilities to live independently, to participate in policies, politics. And this is reflected currently where 662 policies have been implemented from all over the world. And since 2019, thanks to these alliances, we've been having all these initiatives along with Zero Project. Many of them have been on education, the organization of the first Zero Project conference, and the release of the Almanac document that is compilating all the work that we've been doing since 2013. All this work that has been done along with Zero Project has reflected that in Latin America and the Caribbean is the region that's been growing the most since 2013 for this aiding people with disabilities. These results have only been possible through this collaborative work that has been done and the commitment for helping people with disabilities. The COVID-19 pandemic has generated more innovation, flexibilizing the way they can work remotely. But the implementation in the work environment has mean different challenges for people with disability, creations of new work positions. Some haven't been able to adapt to this, and the use of technologies are tools for building new possibilities in the labor environment when work. So I invite you to participate in this conference to know how the world is working for people with disabilities, and to continue promoting the rights of people with disabilities and to build a world without barriers. Thank you very much. Thank you, Catalina, for your presence today and your constant commitment to promote the inclusion of people with disabilities in all areas, both in Chile and globally. Now we have some greetings from authorities who wanted to be here with us. I leave you with the greetings from the local authorities from Chile.
Posibilidad de saludar a los asistentes de esta conferencia virtual Zero Project para América Latina y el mundo hispanoparlante, empleo y TIC. Esta instancia refleja los esfuerzos que desde los distintos ámbitos hacemos para generar políticas e iniciativas en favor de las personas con discapacidad. El compromiso de Chile en esta...
The commitment of Chile in this matter hasn't been constituted as a specific topic to the alternatives of a government or another, but as a pillar of the state that is maintained and strengthened in time. Outlook as a country without any parties. So I want to be very clear. This is very clear. So in the case of Chile, we are talking about an expressive figure of 16.7% of men and women, more than 3 million people with some kind of disability. I would like to invite you to commit with the people with disabilities and in promoting international cooperation opportunities in this topic. So what we can do about this will depend a significant part of the destiny of our societies. Thank you very much.
Muchas gracias, ministra, por sus palabras.
Thank you very much, Minister, for your words and the visibility of disability, and also for being with us in this conference, Zero Project for Latin America and Spanish-speaking world. In order to continue with this ceremony, we will open the floor to the Minister Patricio Melero, in charge of the Minister of Social Welfare and Employment. I would like to greet and also give a warm regard to this Initiative Zero project in Latin America and the Spanish-speaking countries. We can approach the disability and the employment without taking into consideration the impact that the pandemic has had on us and how we are preparing for this. From Chile, one of the important initiatives was the remote work law, which allowed to many people to work outside their normal places, their workplaces. So we are not only facing the pandemic from the perspective of the laws, but we are allowing for more people to have unemployment. And all of the laws for the workers and the employers in Chile have had a positive discrimination for people living with disabilities. So for example, the labor subsidy law gives a subsidy to the worker and gives more subsidies to women and people with disabilities. We believe that our journey to strengthen our law has been good, but we have a long road ahead. We can do more regarding to this topic, and not only being stuck in legislation, but also in cultural change. So inclusion is a reality. The society needs to know and understand how important it is to include. The law is going in the right direction, but the public policies also have to be a complement. Thank you very much. Congratulations. And from Chile, we are supporting what you are doing in this conference.
Muchas gracias, ministro, por
Thank you very much, Minister, for your words and for your greetings to this opening ceremony at this conference, Zero Project for Latin America and the Spanish-speaking world, 2021 Employment and ICT. We also have international greetings. So I'll leave you with the greeting of from the chairman of the Austrian Parliament, Mr. Wolfgang Sobotka.
Und die spanischsprachige Welt. Es freut mich, dass sich selbst in einer globalen Krise, wie wir sie gerade erleben, erfreuliche Momente wie dieser ergeben. Vor 2 Jahren waren umfangreiche virtuelle Konferenzen.
2 years ago, the virtual conferences at a big scale were practically impossible. But from the perspective of the pandemic, it has contributed to a big development. So for me, it is possible now to give you this welcome. And after 2019, this is the second conference for the Zero Project at the regional level, organized by the Austrian Foundation Essl and the Chilean Fundación Descúbreme. The fact to focus on these regions of the world implies that that we are going towards a more inclusive international community. As we know, we need the support of each one of us to overcome barriers that exist in the world for people living with disabilities. Also, we need innovative ideas that make possible the accessibility, or at least make it easier. So the meetings at the Zero Project conferences are an important instrument to expand our community in different ways. Through the Zero Project, the inclusive innovations are being visible and are moving forward the new possibilities in the areas of accessibility. The international interdisciplinary interchange promotes learning internationally with the others. Many experts in the world, politicians in different parts of the world, from every sectors of the economy and different disciplines of science, are contributing to change with independence, independently from of where they come from, because the inclusion should not have barriers. Okay. We are traveling in a good road. An inclusive society based in the NU Convention on the Rights of People with Disabilities will be more and more important than the current one, thanks to our efforts. In this spirit, I wish you an interesting, interesting, instructive dialogue in the second conference for the Zero Project for Latin America and Spanish-speaking countries. And I'm wishing you, giving you the welcome in person in the next conference that will be held in Vienna next year.
Señor presidente, por
Thank you
acompañarnos.
very much, Mr. Chairman, for joining us today to continue with this opening ceremony. We also welcome another greeting from Uruguay. The Uruguayan Minister of Labor, Mr. Pablo Mieres, will give us some words. He is the Minister of Labor. So it's a pleasure to greet the Zero Project Latin America from the Ministry of Employment and Social Welfare in Uruguay. I would like to give you support to the topic that you're working on in this event, because it's very important. We are committed with the need of the labor inclusion of people with disability. In the sense, we believe this is a very good idea, the interchange of experiences between the different countries in regards to how to promote the labor inclusion. In Uruguay, we have two laws that establish participation quotas for people with disabilities, one for the public sector and the other one for the private sector. Instead of that, we are very behind to fulfill with the legal mandate. But I would like to tell you that some days ago, we have presented to the parliament and it approved by unanimity a law that promotes the insertion and generates subsidies for employees hiring people with disabilities. These and other initiatives, of course, we are willing to share with you, and we wish you success in this activity. Greetings from Uruguay. Thank you, Minister, for your words and for your greeting at the opening ceremony of our Zero Project Conference for Latin America and the Spanish-speaking world 2021 Employment and ICT. With this, we close this initial part of the greetings. So we would like to leave you with someone very important to Zero Project, and that person wanted to be here. She is she's Caroline Casey, who started a very important initiative, the Available 500.
Latin America, I really wish that I was there. Like, how am I not there? Because for me, the Valuable 500, its birth was in Colombia.
So I'm so sorry that I can't personally be there speaking into this endless Zoom. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Caroline Casey. I'm the troublemaker and founder behind the Valuable 500. I've been in the space of disability business inclusion for just under 22 years. And I'm passionate about the power of business to create inclusive societies for all. Inclusive business is the most powerful force on our planet. What business values and includes, society will follow. And that's at the very core of the Valuable 500, which is really pointing to the need for business leadership. So the Valuable 500 is now the biggest global CEO collective on any issue in the world after UN Global Compact. So let me repeat that, the biggest CEO collective of any issue in the world committed to driving system change. The Valuable 500 represents now 20 million employees coming from 41 countries, 64 It is led by CEOs. The issue of disability business inclusion has been around forever. One of the pieces of research we did before we began the search, this iconic search for these 500 CEOs and their companies, has given us two startling facts. One is 90% of the companies in the world who publicly claim to be passionate about inclusion, only 4% of them consider disability. Now, that isn't inclusion for me. That's an a la carte, pick and mix inclusion. The second statistic, which is 7% of our CEOs have a lived experience of disability, but 4 or 5 of them are not declaring it, points to why leadership is so important, but also has a really direct point to what the problem is. And I think the problem comes down, as always, to the fact that there still is not a true understanding of the value that people with disabilities and their families bring to business. Now, I'm not talking about, they're more loyal or whatever. I am speaking to a global market size worth 13 trillion, because the 1.3 billion people in the world with a disability, with a mother and a father, is 70% of our global economy. Now, that aside, so we'll look at the market size of that, but I still think there's a lack of understanding that disability has insight to offer, innovation, the opportunity for differentiation. It also seems to still be that disability is perceived simply as something complex and costly and impossible to achieve. And that has been some of the contributing factors that has left disability on the sidelines, which means that no business organization are ever going to be able to deliver on a promise for inclusion. Because inclusion means all for everyone, or everyone for all, or not at all. So if companies truly believe in inclusion, they have to have disability as part of it. In society, if we believe in inclusion, we have to ensure that the 15% of our global population with lived experience will also be included. But the interesting part of disability, or the interesting uniqueness of disability, is disability does not discriminate. It's a part across all other human characteristics or categories of humanity that are under diversity and inclusion. But it is also an experience that every single human being at some point on this planet will experience. 80% of disability is invisible, 80% is acquired between the ages of 18 and 64, why business needs the understanding of this. But we also need to understand that as we age, we will acquire disability. Now, with this information and these stats, how come we haven't seen accelerated change? Why are we, when we're hearing the world's largest minority, which is 15% of our population, with such a huge market offering and such an opportunity to differentiate, why has it been on the sidelines? And that has been because we have not yet been able to galvanize CEOs and galvanize leadership. CEOs are some of the most powerful people on our planet today to make anything happen. They can make change happen in often a week or days where policymakers, it could be years and decades. So we need CEOs. But we don't need CEOs because it's the right thing to do or it's the worthy thing to do. We need them because it actually we have evidence to prove that it delivers to the bottom line. We need our leaders to truly understand that and live that. We know that one CEO in one amazing company also is not capable of changing the true integration of disability inclusion into business. It's not possible. We need collectives. We need groups of like-minded organizations and people. And that's why the Valuable 500 was created, to break the CEO silence, to create a collective that could not be ignored with the power to make system change happen, to do it in a really safe way, acknowledging that this is difficult, we're going to have to innovate, so therefore we're going to have to fail, that if we shared with each other, we might get there quicker, better, faster. We could have 500 shortcuts for change and not put on sticking plasters. Disability business inclusion is not a cheat sheet. It's not going to happen like that. And so when you create these collectives, we will help change a system by sharing together. The leadership is so important because we know that leaders make choices and those choices create culture. You could have the greatest best practice in companies around disability business inclusion or any part of inclusion, but it will not be scaled if it does not have the resources. And it cannot be amplified if it doesn't have the attention, intention of the leadership, the CEO, the chair, and the board. It just won't happen. And that's why leadership is so important. We don't expect the CEOs to do the work, but we expect is for them to be aware of the work and support the business. Support the business with the resource and the energy and the intention in the shadow and the light of a leader. Now, particularly here, we're talking about inclusive employment and how we make that happen. And what I want to kind of highlight, when over the decades we've been in this work and we've spoken about disability business inclusion, it often has had a spotlight on employment on its own. And therefore, I think there has been a very slow move towards inclusive employment. Now, not so much in Brazil. For sure, we know that we're seeing numbers picked up and we know quotas have helped, but we're not seeing accelerated change. We know that 50% of the companies in OECD countries would rather pay fines than even try to find a solution for inclusive employment. Because you see, the appetite isn't at the top. But this is a new way of framing this, because the Valuable 500 has always believed when we talk about disability business inclusion, we are speaking to the interconnectedness across all the functions of the business, across the value chain, across the supply chain. We have to see that interconnectedness and an integrated approach if we ever want to see inclusive employment become a reality. So the way we are starting to see that business is kind of picking up and it's resonating, and particularly with leaders, is how on earth are you going to serve the market of 13 trillion if you don't have the intelligence in your business? So it's linking the market value to employment and the reason and rationale for employment. The second thing is innovation. We speak to this a lot, and these are well-known anecdotes. But for example, innovating, particularly in digital, the time of digital acceleration, and differentiating in that time often comes from the lived experience of people with disabilities on the extremes. If you don't have that perspective in your business, how are you going to compete? And we need to be looking at now a world. I mean, COVID has proved that accessibility is not I might do it. It's an essential. And if it's not done right and well, it is going to be a risk to the business. Accessibility is for all. It's not just for the disability community. And actually, while I'm on that, the disability community and the business community, they're one. They're one and all. So, but how can we ensure that we are creating digital products or services that are fully accessible? Well, we need to be building that in from the beginning, right from the outset in anything that we do. Well, how can you do that if you don't have the lived experience of somebody different? So when we start connecting those dots, that is the rationale for employment. It's a market-driven approach. It's an approach that's talking about insight and innovation rather than you have to. Because legislation is great, but it's not sufficient. We need to blend the legal requirement with the extraordinary opportunity with business. And if that is led and supported by leaders, then we will see change happen. Inclusive business leadership is not to the Chief Diversity Officer. It is not to the CHRO. It is to the board and the leadership of the business to ensure it trickles down right across the supply chain. How can we also see increased inclusive employment is if we look at using our procurement and our supply chain, working with businesses that have the same intentionality as we do to be inclusive. There are so many ways that we can crack this, but differently. Now, if there's one thing that is a great place to start on inclusive employment or in inclusive business, it's something we are asked all the time with the Valuable 500. Because we know it's not the CEOs who do the work. We know it's the business who has to deal with so many competing factors with such a finite amount of time of resource. So let's do this sensibly and intelligently. One of our partners is Purple Space and Kate Nash and her team. Why don't we just do something really smart and see what we already have? So what we say to our Valuable 500 companies and any company that is interested in looking at improving inclusive employment and the space of disability business inclusion, what you need to do is who is in your business already. Firstly, your employee resource groups. Those employee resource groups are absolutely this huge intelligence that you can learn from that's in your business, and that will help you. If your employee resource group has got executive sponsorship, therefore the messaging goes to the top. And the employee resource groups being allies to other employee resource groups means that you have an intersectional approach to inclusion. The thing that's most important is because most of our countries have legislation that do not allow for us to self-ID, or it's our choice whether we self-ID having a disability. I have a disability. I hid mine for many, many years because I could. We're not really understanding the truth, what we call the valuable truth. We know there have been several organizations who have piloted, thinking that they maybe had 2 or 3% of their employees had lived experience of disability. Well, actually, it's most likely anything between 12 to 15%. Now, what would it be like if we could unlock that intelligence or create cultures where that intelligence can bubble up to the top, which is good for the individual and good for the business? So if there were 2 places to start right now as a business, which will do a dot line to inclusive employment, is who are you already employing? How can you create a culture of safety and trust that people will speak about their experience, not just as a person with a disability, but a person who has a family member? So that's one place. And the second is go to your employee resource groups. There is your intelligence. But the most important part of this is joining the power and influence of our CEOs with the power of the employees. It's top and bottom, right in the middle is the goal. Inclusion, all for everyone. What can we learn from what we have done before? How can we build inclusive employment and disability business inclusion into other areas around gender, LGBTQ, race, socioeconomic, aging? What can we learn? Our urge to everybody in this space is please do not do your work of disability business inclusion or disability employment as a separate standalone. It is imperative that we are integrating disability business inclusion and building on systems that already exist. We are just starting Valuable 500 Phase 2. And our work is, as I said, to now amplify and engage and activate this 500 community against a transformation plan so we can drive system change together, looking at the interconnectedness of a business ecosystem and world. And the work that we are looking at is the power of the C-suite and getting them comfortable to speak about it and their stories, culture, customers, representation, research, and reporting. All of us are only really beginning. Even the companies that have done great stuff, this is a journey that's never going to end, a journey that's interconnected to so much. We don't expect companies to know what to do. We expect you just to begin and probably to admit that you don't know. And the best way is to reach out to your local expert partners that do exist in your regions. There are so many there who have been there for a long time, and they have the best experience. So aside from getting to understand the truth of your employees, go out for the expert help. It's there to help you and to learn with you. Be kind to yourself in the KPIs and the targets you set, but do set them. But no, this is not, as I said, a cheat sheet. It's not a quick bandage. It's a journey for system change. And you have plenty of friends around you in the networks that exist to make this happen. As I say, I wish I was there. #Valuable began in Colombia. We are delighted to have companies from Central and South America as part of our big tribe and global family. We are here to help. It's the time to do it now, because if we don't do it now, I can't imagine when is a better time. As we enter this decade of disruption, we also know it's our heads and our hearts that are going to solve this. Collaboration using the indisputable business reason why we could and the indisputable human reason why we have to create business systems that leave no one behind. Thank you.
Muchas gracias, Caroline. Y qué interesante.
Thank you very much, Caroline. And what interesting proposals. With this, we end our opening greetings and the opening part, and we invite you to continue with our programming. The blog that continues today is simultaneous for both channels. At 10 a.m. local time of Chile, we have a blog of keynote speeches on inclusive employment, the vision of the ILO and the IDB. It will deal with the perspective of inclusive employment from international organizations. It will feature speeches by Daniela Paz, Director of the Inclusive Social Development Division of the United Nations Department of Economic and Social Affairs, and Fabio Bertranu, Director of the International Labor Organizations Office for the Southern Cone of Latin America. At 11 a.m. local time, we invite you to connect to Impact Transfers live event, Escalate Your Impact, or Escala tu Impacto, which will be held by Zoom. You can schedule it from our platform. It is an open session aimed at organizations of people with disabilities in Latin American countries. It aims to provide concrete tools and key elements for success when growing their impact or their impact for the inclusion of people with disabilities. You will have the opportunity to listen to Loic van Kutsen, Director of the Impact Transfer Program of Ashoka, the world's largest social entrepreneurship network, social entrepreneur and consultant of impact and sustainability, Ashoka, Austria. And also to Valburga Frolich, Executive Director of Atempo Capito, an Austrian nonprofit organization that develops and distributes services and products to make life easier for people with disabilities. We invite you to enjoy this and all the sessions of our conference. See you in a little while. Thank you very much.